Sooner or later, we all have such a state when we want to see how people lived in a difficult, for them, the time is, for example, in a war or in a heightened state of uncertainty. In today's selection, you will see films about great love, loyalty, and betrayal. The whole truth. 17th youth Mike Lassiter, who is safe, prosperous, ringing at the grave misfortune, Zorstakom bivst Vlasny dad. Numerical evidence, details of evil, special recognition, and indication of evidence. Summing up the fact that Michael made this serious mischief. All the blame that the lad is guilty and is guilty of incurring more punishment, even if not repent and from the moment of driving in without saying a word. We are united, who wants to have a little doubt at the fault and want to help him get away. Preliminary confirmation. Additional evidence lawyer Richard Remsey, who is especially familiar with Let's Kill. Serena. Fascinating and large-scale historical crime drama about passions and terrible secrets of the past. Events unfold on the eve of the beginning of the Great Depression in the United States. George Pemberton is a successful entrepreneur and owner of many forests that bring him a regular and considerable income. He falls in love with Serena at first sight, a bold and desperate beauty with snow-white curls and red sensual lips. Fortunately for George, the girl reciprocates, and after a few days she becomes Mrs. Pemberton. The further development of family life will show that with such a wife there is absolutely nothing to spend time to look for some additional bloodthirsty panthers, and George even allows his beloved wife to take a direct part in his affairs. Serena is not only beautiful and charming, but also has an unusual mind and entrepreneurial spirit. Savvy, so her influence on a man and his business only increases every day, which causes anger and indignation of Pemberton's partners and subordinates. Spouse's love boat finally staggered when Serena found out that she was infertile, and George had a child from his former mistress. The aftermath. The film takes place in Germany after World War II. Rachel Morgan comes to Hamburg to her husband, British Colonel Lewis Morgan, who is engaged in the restoration of the city. The couple settles in a luxurious mansion, where the previous owners still live. Instead of evicting a German architect and his troubled daughter, Colonel Morgan allows them to stay, despite the protests of his wife. At that moment, he could not even think that he was making a fatal mistake, the consequences of which could ruin their lives. Allied Spies. The action takes place in the midst of the Second World War, when the fall of Hitler was imagined by no means a settled matter. In the desert near Casablanca, Max arrives, an American agent who is entrusted with mission to eliminate the new German ambassador. His partner in the case is Marianne, a former member of the French resistance, who is to play the role of his wife. During a dangerous mission that does not give 100% chance of staying alive, Max and Marianne grow closer. Their sudden whirlwind romance develops into a happy marriage, but later, Max learns about his Marianne. The truth is not revealed. I'll destroy everything, almost like Yogo Koana and Mother Yogo Child, a fascist pusher. How can Max, in such a difficult time for the whole world to work out the right choice between Obavascum and feelings, and she live love under the onslaught of a huge dog? My cousin Rachel. It so happened that Philip Ashley's parents died early. The young man was taken in by a distant relative, cousin Ambrose. Here, on the estate, Philip did not need anything and received a good education. When the guy was 24 years old, Ambrose decided to go to Italy for treatment. As told in the movie My Cousin Rachel, her deceased husband, Count Sangaletti, left his young wife nothing but a high-profile title. Rachel is beautiful and extremely attractive. Ambrose is simply subdued by this woman. They soon got married. A year later, however, Ambrose dies of an unknown illness. It was from the order that everything should be passed to Philip. Ashley on the cob put up before Rachel with the great preemption, respecting my guilt in the death of my Shanov relative. However, without a bar, the wines could not stand before the spell of this beauty. If Philip was turned 25 years old, a young person, Skidno, enters into the law with the law. Downfalls are right. If you copy to Rachel Maddock and everything else. A few hours later, the new one showed the same symptoms of ailment as Ambrose had. The film Wild Life. The main character is a 16-year-old teenager named Joe Brinson. He and his parents come in search of a better life in wild places. One day, the boy witnesses how the agony of his parents' marriage begins, the time of which, obviously exhausted. When fires start in the surrounding forests, the boy's father, along with other men, goes to put them out. At this time, the boy's mother meets a man much older than her, And Joe suddenly discovers that his life begins to change rapidly. This, at first glance, quite a life drama about a love triangle is shown through the prism perception of the growing child's soul, which is full of love for both lost parents feeling for each other. And suddenly the depths of human relationships begin to appear, full of courage and self-respect, which remain unchanged even when love dies. I will look over to everyone and see you soon with a new video.